Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm going to get started with our Engineering for Humanity event. So thank you all for joining us here at the virtual Schulich School of Engineering's Engineering for Humanity event series. Tonight we are featuring our Women in Engineering Night. So we have an awesome panel for you folks who are joining us tonight. My name is Alison Barrett. I support the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion portfolio at the Schulich School of Engineering, and I will be the MC tonight. Before we get started, I would like to start us off with a land acknowledgement. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda Nation. The city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation Region 3. And so I also have a few housekeeping comments just for everyone. So if you have any questions throughout the panel, please do not hesitate to put those in the chat. Lorraine and myself will be monitoring the chat to help make sure our panelists know any questions that you have. Lorraine is our advisor from the Engineering Student Center. So if you did have any questions about admissions to the University of Calgary, we can also answer those here. Additionally, we are recording this panel tonight for anyone who's not able to attend, so just please be mindful of that. And I would also just like to go over our agenda for the evening. So I am doing the welcome and introductory remarks right now. Then you're going to hear from Dr. Svetlana Yanushkevich, who's our Associate Dean of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion and Research at the University of Calgary. And then we have a great panel discussion for you tonight, featuring some great women who are studying engineering or working in engineering. This will be followed by a Q&A period. But as I mentioned, if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to put those in the chat. We'll be answering those throughout the event as well. So I would like to pass it over to Dr. Yanushkevich for some opening remarks.
Okay. Thank you, Ali. So I would like to welcome everybody who attends today. By coming to tonight to this event, you already show your interest in potentially becoming or choosing the engineering as your profession. And our wonderful women in engineering, our students and faculty that you will meet today will provide you with information and will try to convince you to make this choice. And many of us contribute to breaking the pattern, right, of thinking that STEM and general career in engineering is not necessarily for women. We are the proof that it's not such. And the slide that you see here show that there are very well-known inventions that not many people know were made by women in STEM and engineering. So example is Kevlar. Probably you've heard that Kevlar, it's a very special material. It's a synthetic material, synthetic fiber, that was invented by one of the researchers working for DuPont company, Stephanie Kwolek. So it's some time ago, in 1966, when she was working for the research and development unit of DuPont, she invented that wonderful material that become this is material used for the bulletproof vests, for example, and it's used in many technologies in applied used by NASA. The other one, very well known and very often used engineering invention is solar house. And not many people know again that the very first solar house was designed by Maria Telcas. She was Hungarian biophysicist, and these days we probably would call her engineer as well, who moved to United States for some time to do her research. And there in United States in 1947, she built with her other female colleague, Dover House, known as the very first house that was able to use 100% solar energy to provide the living condition in winters as well. For 2 years, this house was there working based on the technology of the thermoelectric power generator she developed. With that, I ask Alison to continue and explain our programs at Schulich School of Engineering.
Thank you, Dr. Januszkiewicz. So before we get started in the panel, I did just want to give you an overview of the Schulich School of Engineering and give you a little bit of context about why we're here tonight. Oh. My slides are going ahead on me. So at the Schulich School of Engineering, 27% of our undergraduate students identify as women. So this is, oh, I think I'm on a timer. 1 second here. Okay, let's see if this works. So at the Schulich School of Engineering, 27% of our undergraduate students identify as women. And there are actually, I'm just gonna go from here. So in the engineering profession, 13% of engineers identify as women. So we do have more female representation studying engineering at Schulich, but we're still not where we want to be, which is 50%. We want our engineers to be reflective of our society. So that's why I think it's so important to host events like we are having today. So what are we doing at the Schulich School of Engineering to promote diversity and inclusion? Well, we have a Diversity Champions in Engineering Award that for those of you who are looking to apply to the University of Calgary, I would highly recommend that you look into this scholarship. It's a $4,000 entrance award and it's for open to incoming engineering students. It's really easy to apply. I think it's just 3 short questions that you have to answer and the deadline is January 30th. So definitely be aware of this award. It's a really good opportunity to win and earn a scholarship before you start your studies. At the Schulich School of Engineering, we're also really excited to offer the Bioengineering Summer Institute. So this is a 4-week course designed for students who are passionate about biology, but have not completed physics 20 or 30. So traditionally, these students might have to do some upgrading in order to apply to engineering. So this course will offer a new pathway to engineering for these students. If you want to learn more about that program, I think Lorraine put a link to the website in the chat. We also have a UConnect program. So if after today you have a few more questions about what it could be like to study engineering, you can get matched with one of our current undergraduate student ambassadors and they can answer your questions and just let you know a little bit more about what it's like to study engineering at the University of Calgary. In addition to the Diversity Champions in Engineering Award, I just wanted to highlight the exceptional scholarships that we do offer at Schulich. So every year, UCalgary Engineering averages about $4.5 million worth of student awards every year. So there's lots of opportunities to earn scholarships that can help a lot during your studies. A big question we get from students who are considering engineering is, what does all of the engineering disciplines mean? So as you can see here, I've got listed all the different engineering majors and minors that you can pursue at the Schulich School of Engineering. And so I'm going to give you a bit of a summary of what each of these departments and engineering majors and minors mean. So biomedical engineers focus on advances that improve human health and healthcare at all levels. So biomedical engineers apply the principles and problem-solving techniques of engineering to biology and medicine. We also have chemical engineering. So chemical engineering is about transforming raw materials into useful products. You could be working with pharmaceuticals, healthcare, plastics, energy, and more. It's a really broad-based form of engineering. At the University of Calgary, we also offer Geomatics Engineering. So this is actually one of the fastest growing information sciences. So think GPS in your phone, managing big data, the Internet of Things, and much more. And at Schulich, we pretty much have one of the best geomatics departments in all of Canada. We also offer software engineering. So this is another highly in-demand field, and companies are always looking for tech talent, and software engineers are highly employable. We also offer mechanical engineering. So this encompasses everything from robotics to artificial intelligence, to artificial joints, to designing cutting-edge vehicles. If you like to design, make and build things, then mechanical engineering might be the right fit for you. We also offer civil engineering. So this is all about the environment and building smart communities. So think transit, safe bridges and buildings, water safety systems, and much more. We also offer electrical engineering. So this is about creating new technologies through the manipulation of electricity or finding new ways to better harness sustainable energy. At the Schulich School of Engineering, we also offer a dual degree program. So if you're interested in business, you can actually pursue a dual major in both business and engineering, and you can complete this in only 5 years. So this is a very unique aspect to the Schulich School of Engineering. As you can see, we also have many different minors that you can choose on. So these are just different ways that you can specialize within your discipline of engineering and pursue anything that you're very passionate about. Some key dates to be aware of. So it's past October 1st, so applications are open December 1st, so that's when those prestige awards applications are due. So that's probably the next deadline that you'd want to be aware of. January 30th, as I mentioned, is when the Diversity Champion and Engineering Award is due. And March 1st is the deadline to apply to the University of Calgary. So after today, if you do have any questions, you can always reach us at the Schulich School of Engineering by emailing us at discoverengineering@ucalgary.ca. And I think Lorraine will put that in the chat as well. So now that I've given you that brief overview, I will turn it over to Dr. Lale Bejat, who will be moderating our panel this evening.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Lale Bejat. I'm a professor in electrical and software engineering at the University of Calgary. I am also the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada, called NSERC Chair for Women in Science and Engineering. Where I work on trying to recruit and retain more women and other underrepresented groups in science and engineering. But my actual research is on developing, making computers. So what I do is I make your computers faster and more energy efficient. The other thing that I do is I try to make engineering education more fun. So hopefully you come and see me in my classes. I usually teach second year students. So while I'm doing the introduction of our wonderful panel, I would very much like you to tell me where, or all of the panelists, where you're coming from and what you would like to have to hear most. Also, if you have a hobby or something, please put it in the chat, and I'll ask our panelists to do the same. So my hobby is actually reading. So I like to read a lot. I don't get as much time to read anymore as I would like to, but that's sort of what I do. If I'm not reading, you can find me on the ski hill, hopefully next week starting from next week. I will start with our first speaker, Dr. Farna Sadapur, if you can say hi. She's an associate professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Calgary, and her area of expertise is construction engineering and management. In Dr. Sadapur's academic role, she contributes to teaching, research, and other services to civil engineering and the profession at the University of Calgary. One of her really cool research projects is to develop a cycling infrastructure for cities in the cold climates. And you can usually see Dr. Sadapur posting pictures of her cycling around town, which are really, really interesting. Cycling is currently receiving a large amount of attention in North America, especially because we want to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions in the urban areas. Dr. Sadapur is also a member of the Canadian Society for Civil Engineering, Calgary section, and chairs it for the construction division. Our next speaker is Jennifer Vanzel. Jennifer, can you say hi? She graduated with a Master's of Electrical Engineering from University of Calgary, my own department. After graduating with a master's degree, she has spent 10 years at a TR Tech, supporting industry with in-house research, academic resources, and government support. During those early years of her career, Jen gained a deeper understanding of the importance of diversity in STEM. She has also held quite a few technology-focused consulting and advisory roles, including working as technology advisor, and most recently, she helped launch a UCalgary startup called Destin Health Incorporated, where she's currently a board member. At Destin, Jennifer stepped in as a CEO of the all-female team of inventors, securing early funding, winning a social innovation pitch award, and successfully completing Platform Calgary's Junction training. Jennifer often speaks to students, sharing openly her experiences and challenges as an engineer, as a parent in a dual working household. She's also a member of Wise Planet team, which is part of the NSERC Chair, and working tirelessly to develop program and network and execution of the program. Our next speaker is Tiffany Dan Kiffin. Can you say hi, please? Tiffany is a graduate student in Biomedical Engineering graduate program at the University of Calgary. She completed her undergraduate degree in Chemical Engineering with a specialization in Biomedical Engineering. Wanting to use her degree to improve the healthcare system, she continued on to graduate school to further her knowledge. Her research is focused on large-scale manufacturing of stem cells to treat diseases such as diabetes and osteoporosis. Tiffany is an active member of the Biomedical Engineering community who speaks to engage students in finding their passion. This includes her role as a student co-chair for the BME industry initiatives and as a senior co-director for Stem Cell Talks, an organization which aims to engage high school students in stem cell research. This is fantastic. And our last moderator is Helen Zhang. Helen, can you say hi? Helen is a third-year chemical engineering student with a biomedical engineering minor. She is a passionate and a strong advocate for diversity and equity in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and has been very engaged in building a more inclusive community at the University of Calgary and inspire younger generations of female engineers. In her 3 years at the university, Helen has been a part of Schulich Change Leader Network, the Diversity and Advocacy Committee of Engineering Student Society, and is currently the co-president of the Women in Science and Engineering Club. Beyond her commitment to diversity in STEM, Helen is also a student researcher, a student employee at the university, and an active member in other student clubs and associations. So let's welcome all of them. If you want to welcome them, you can use your reaction button and sort of do a clap or anything else. Okay, let's start with the first question. And don't forget to put your questions in the chat because we will be hopefully answering all of them. So I first ask this question of all of the panelists, maybe starting with Farnaz. What the question is, what does engineering mean to you? And why would you recommend engineering? And also Schulich School of Engineering to the people who are attending this session. And also, if you have a chance, talk about some of the interesting projects you're working on.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Beja. Thank you so much for this nice introduction you did of all of us. It's so lovely to have these ladies here with us tonight. To me, engineering is solving real life problems. If I had to put it in one line, that's how I would describe it, what it means to me. Why I think Schulich School of Engineering is you should study engineering here is that I believe we have some of the nicest programs within engineering among other Canadian schools. I personally can speak to my department, which is civil engineering, and our neighboring department, our cousin department, which is Geomatics Engineering. A lot of people think about civil engineering just about buildings or structures, but that's just a fraction of what we do in civil engineering. Civil engineering is about designing structures for buildings, but it's also about the roads, the bridges, pretty much any infrastructure that you use on a daily basis. It's also about water and wastewater treatment. It also is about anything that we do in the environment. And also, last but not least, what I do, which is construction engineering, how things get built. So pretty much everything that we work with on a daily basis will have a touch of that. So that's what we do in civil engineering. Our cousin department is Geomatics Engineering. And Geomatics Engineering, as Alison mentioned earlier, is gaining more and more interest worldwide because of things, we call it positioning, but you may know it as GPS. Who doesn't use GPS today? So remote sensing, Earth observation, looking around what is happening, where things are on Earth, and a better management of that. Digital imaging, GIS, navigation. So with Internet of Things that you're using probably on a day-to-day basis, that's another cool area that we can contribute to the world. And Lale, just to answer your question about a cool project I have, you did mention the bicycle program that I am part of it, but I wanted to mention another side, very different side of it. What I do in construction sites is a marriage between construction and geomatics engineering. We put chips on people's hard hats and we make sure we monitor where they are in a construction site with centimeter accuracy. And we make sure when they go in dangerous zones, we'll let them know so they're not in danger. So we want to save lives, reduce accidents, and do things like that. So it's very futuristic. It's like sci-fi movies that we watch on movies, but it's something that we love doing. And I would love to show it to you if you come on campus sometime. Thank you, Lana.
Hey, thank you so much, Farnaz. And let's go to Tiffany now. Tiffany, stem cells.
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Tiffany. I guess very quickly, I'm connecting from Calgary. And my hobbies include board games, reading, as well as rock climbing. So I try to be active in any way possible. So in terms of what engineering means to me, it really is about understanding the world around us from a very unique perspective. Alison touched upon about the designing, troubleshooting, critical thinking skills. And really that is, to me, what engineering is. You're pulling information from all these different fields and all these current research that's going on, and you're trying to make sense of it all and trying to apply it to new designs and new innovative ways to use it. So there's a lot of interesting applications for engineering. Specifically for me in stem cell research, again, I'm in the area of biomedical engineering. So as Alison mentioned again earlier, biomedical engineering is all about the application of health and biology and using your knowledge as an engineer towards these fields. So how do we use chemistry, biology, and physics? But how do we do that in a health setting? And so all these different fields of engineering you're going to hear about tonight, there are many applications within biomedical engineering. Some researchers look at sensor technology to better understand how we can monitor your heart rate as well as your breathing patterns. Others are looking into prosthetic design. So how can we provide motion and make a prosthetic arm act like a human arm? Others are looking at stem cells like me. So how do we take the cells from your own body and use them to treat diseases like diabetes or osteoporosis? While others are also looking at how we can improve the healthcare system. So how do we make hospitals more efficient? How do we manage all the healthcare records and data that all these hospitals have and ensure that that information is transmitted seamlessly to one location to the next? So you could be in Vancouver and you're transmitting data to like Tokyo or to Stockholm, so all around the world. So biomedical engineering is really, really about like all these applications, and there's research into animal health, nursing, health education. So it's a very large field. So that's what I would say is an amazing part of engineering and what I do specifically. And then I guess a quick thing about my project is really understanding how we use stem cells to better understand all these different diseases.
Yeah, fantastic. I have seen some of the Tiffany's colleagues who also work on stem cells, and it's like future is good when it is in their hands. So thank you. Helen.
Hi. So as mentioned, I'm still an undergraduate student, so my understanding of my department may not be as in-depth and articulated as many of our other panelists here are, but I'm in my third year of chemical engineering with a biomedical engineering minor. So in chemical engineering, I know traditionally when we think about it entering like from high school, we think just, you know, chemical reaction, chemical processes, but it really goes beyond that, and like you will realize a lot of the processes you're looking at is in your everyday life, from the food industry to oil and gas to different like manufacturing industries, even in like maybe the makeup product that you used this morning. From my experience, I realized how broad the field of chemical engineering is, and really how the knowledge I'm learning in my classroom can be applied in many different areas. And in terms of my minor, I think Tiffany talked a lot about biomedical engineering, and that's definitely something that I'm trying to explore too, like the integration of chemical engineering with biomedical engineering, seeing how stem cell research is definitely a really cool field, and also maybe like pharmaceuticals and other areas like that. And what engineering means to me, I think as a student, one of our other panelists already touched on it, bringing like creative solutions and solving real life problems. But as a student, I think engineering, the collaborative learning and the collaborative work part of it really stood to me. And I think that was something that traditionally we don't associate with engineering as much, thinking of like some of the stereotypes, but I think it's really about collaborative learning, as about working in teams to try to optimize systems, or bring innovative solutions to different places. And why I would recommend Schulich School of Engineering. As a student that's still going through a degree, I've found a lot of great communities within the Schulich School of Engineering, whether it be when I was trying to look for summer research. So in the academic side of things, we have some great professors that are always trying to engage with the undergraduate students, trying to provide these opportunities. We have, or in extracurricular sense, in the student clubs and organizations, we have a great SU club where trying to run a club, you get a lot of support and a lot of interest from your students as well. Or even now being in my third year, looking into my co-op and internship term, I've realized how great our career advising departments are and how much help I've been able to get for that aspect too. So it truly is a place where it's very community focused, and I think that's one of the things I love about doing my engineering degree here, we not only do we have all these cool like programs and technologies and different support, we also have just a great group of people who are always willing to help out and we're always willing to give you opportunities to try new things, especially as an undergraduate student.
Thank you so much, Helen. That's amazing. And Jen.
Yes, hi. Okay, so electrical engineering has become a very broad category, like a lot of the others, when it comes to the area of study that you might want to focus on. As Ali said, it all stems from electricity, but from there you can focus on power, sort of the more traditional electrical engineering, but it's not just traditional anymore. There's power generation, distribution, and the diversification of our power sources. Or you can focus on hardware, so building things that use electricity, the layout of electronic boards or chips that have become part of almost every piece of technology in the world right now. But you can also focus more on the coding side of things. So whether it's figuring out how to program very specific little routines that sit in the embedded chips inside products, or working on some of the programs that people will interface with directly. And that's starting to now also encompass all of the data science and machine learning and artificial intelligence applications, which are very desirable and super cool skills to have right now. So basically, since almost everything is programmable and full of electronics, electrical engineers can find a use for their talents almost anywhere to build things that can improve the quality of life for others, or just to make the world more fun. I guess because of that, to me, engineering means opportunity. And for that reason, I would recommend engineering to anyone who wants options and to make a difference. In my career, I've helped support and develop smart home technology that enabled a net zero home. I've worked on e-health technology, including, as was mentioned in my bio, a startup company that had an interactive software that uses statistics and medical studies to determine the best hospital to take a stroke patient to, and also communication protocols for keeping people safe without using much battery power out in the field. So you can see how broad it is, but it's all related to the skill set you'll get from your engineering education. I've also, especially in the last 5 to 8 years, done a lot more high-level strategy work, and I really like that. And so a cool project that I'm working on right now is the Wise Planet with Dr. Lali Bejat under her NSERC Chair. And I'm getting to define, create, and help deliver change leadership training programming to women and other underrepresented groups that are early in their STEM careers. And so I feel like through that, I'm getting to actually transform the STEM workforce from a policy and cultural perspective that will unlock the power of even more diversity for all of us in this important area.
Thank you so much, Jen. And I see a lot of you have put in your hobbies and some of where you're connecting from. So thank you so much for connecting. And I want to say that we have like one of the best sports facilities in the country in Calgary. So somebody just wants to do sports. We also at the Schulich School of Engineering, they have this fantastic maker space, which has art room, drawing rooms, and 3D printers, and many other things, robots, but also things like sewing. If you want to do some creative process or make some, electronic clothing or something like that. So you can do all of that as part of your studies. So it's a pretty fun place. We also have a table tennis where all the engineering students play. I know my friends who are from other faculties, when they come to engineering, they're all jealous because our students are doing so many great things. Okay, so let's ask a second question. And this time we'll start with Jen. So what was your journey to studying engineering, and and what drew you to study in Schulich School of Engineering in particular?
Okay, yeah, I'm probably a good one to start with, because the answers will get better as we go through the panel. Because I'll be completely honest, I kind of lucked out. I wasn't really purposeful about it at first, and that was part of my background. Like my parents hadn't really gone to university, and there wasn't really any money for me to go, but I didn't qualify for government loans, but I had great high school marks. And so I got scholarships to go to the Mount Royal College. It wasn't university back then. a full free year if I went right out of high school. And so I thought, okay, well, what do they offer that can transfer into university? And engineering was one of the big things that they had, a transfer program. And so as soon as I started saying, oh, I guess I'm going to be taking engineering for now, just to use the scholarship, everyone that I told that to, like any adult in my life that cared about me or that was interested, got so excited. And I started realizing how many people were engineers in Calgary and that they loved what they did. They were so excited to tell me how great it was that I was studying engineering, and here's what they had done with their degree and how much they liked it. And they all, and I'll be totally honest, coming from not, a lot of means, the fact that they all seemed to make pretty good livings was just an added bonus. So it seemed like a really, really good career path, but I still was very purposeful then once I started it. And what drew me, I guess, to continue in it versus seek it out from the beginning was just that I love the problem solving aspects, the group projects where you were being asked to apply what you were learning to something. And yeah, I guess that's kind of my answer. And then Schulich, it's changed a lot since I was there, and it was good. It was okay when I was there, but now that I've been working for part of it, I'm actually really jealous. Like, I wish I could go back and go again, because I see all the clubs and the rooms that you're describing now, Lolly. And yeah, I think maybe you're going to have to get me an office on site so I can make use of some of those new buildings.
Fantastic. As soon as the COVID restrictions are done, we're going back and we're going to have lots of fun. Helen.
Yeah, so when I graduated out of high school, so not too long ago, just 3 years ago, I did not really know what I wanted to do at first. There were a lot of options, and being out of high school and doing your core classes, like, your chemistry, physics, math, and your humanities, it never seemed to really lead directly to one, degree or another. And a lot of the degrees you see in university, like business or computer science or all the different types of engineering, I guess, like, there was never a direct correlation in terms of like how it connected to my high school learning. So it was kind of a confusing time for me. But what kind of drove me to engineering in general was just that this aspect where I did not know exactly what I wanted to do or exactly where I wanted to work out of university, but engineering has a lot of opportunities. And I think a few of the panelists mentioned too, like just the sheer amount of like application that an engineering degree can go into, like all of these different industries and all these different fields. And going into my first year, you have your engineering common core year, where you don't have to choose what engineering major or minor you want to go into yet. That was also something that drew me, just knowing that like I can have a year to learn about what each one of the engineering fields are more specifically, and then choose from there after doing courses in them. So I thought that engineering was just a great starting point as a degree. And as someone that is interested in my math and sciences, I think that was a good combination. And kind of like Jen said too, I think there obviously like financial stability and career options is a big consideration being in Calgary, as having spoken to a lot of maybe engineering students are older than me, or even family members. I think that there was just a good job market for it, and in terms of the learning, it seemed like what I would be interested in, and there's just a lot of options. I always like to keep my options open, because you're still a student and like sometimes you don't know exactly what you want to do yet. So I think engineering is great for that. And so yeah, and then in terms of why Schulich School of Engineering in particular, when I graduated out of high school, I did consider a few different universities, but a big thing for the Schulich School of Engineering is that, one, I'm from Calgary, so staying home is always nice. Another big thing is that for the engineering programs for all of the universities in Canada, Schulich School of Engineering is one of the best ones. So that knowing that, like, having one of the best programs at home in Calgary, so why not, right? And there were also a lot of financial support through scholarships. So the scholarship that Alison mentioned, the Diversity and Champion Scholarship, I was one of the recipients back in 2019, and also quite a few other scholarships that entrance scholarships that I applied for that year, I was able to get. So that really helped out with being able to pay for my education, and on top of staying at home, that saves a lot of money. So definitely encourage you guys to look into all of those scholarships, because there's a lot of great opportunities that UFC provide. So yeah, and here I am now still doing my degree.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Helen. And I can say that the first year Common Core is absolutely one of the biggest things, because I know many of our students who started thinking that they would like to go to this degree, and then they went in and, like, you know, after the first year, it's like, there's no way I could have survived in this thing, and I really love the other. And so this is one of those things that many universities do not offer that. Tiffany.
Yeah, so I guess my story also starts in high school. So I remember at that time, I really loved math. I loved physics, chemistry, biology. I was very, very much a left-sided brain person, but I also really wanted to help people. That was always a goal of mine. That was something that my parents really instilled in me as an important value to have. And so at this time, I was very confused. I didn't know what career I wanted to do, what my next steps would be after I graduated. And at the time, a lot of my friends were thinking of going into medicine. And so I thought to myself, yeah, that's what I want to do too. I want to be a doctor. But it was actually through a mentor that I found my way towards engineering. I was telling them why I was interested in medicine, specifically the ability to help people, why I love science and math. But I also really like the idea of designing new things, creating new ideas and products, better ways to help people. And he looked at me and he said, Tiffany, have you considered engineering? Based on like what I really enjoy, which was, again, helping people. And to which they replied with, you should consider something like biomedical engineering. I think that would be something you would like. And so I went home, I did some research by myself about like what it meant to be an engineer, because there's such a broad term that's like thrown at you. And I really did agree with what biomedical engineering was, and it resonated with me about the ability to help people, to apply my knowledge in all these different fields towards like making new solutions and creating new and innovative products that can really change a patient's life. And so for me, going into engineering made the most sense to me, and I never looked back from that decision. I really enjoyed my time as a biomedical engineer, and now that I'm here in Calgary, I've been fully immersed in it. We have a lot of great research here at the UC, specifically at Schulich for biomedical engineering. Again, as I mentioned, there's so many different ways that you can pair all these different departments in engineering with biomedical engineering. And we have so many researchers across campus. We actually work with people at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, in the Cummings School of Medicine, in nursing, in education, with kinesiology, to really understand all the applications of biomedical engineering. And so for me, like, that's why I decided to go into engineering, was really honing in on that. I wanted to help people, and I wanted to use my creative problem solving skills to do that. And then why specifically I came to Schulich, as I mentioned, it was about the faculty and the research that we do. Like, biomedical engineering is everywhere here in Calgary. I could talk for hours about how much I love it. But the other aspects of Schulich that I really appreciated was the fact with the scholarship. So Helen touched on the financial support. So I was actually a recipient of one of the Schulich scholarships for entrepreneurship and community service. And so that really helped alleviate the financial burden of leaving home, since I'm not actually originally from Calgary. So that helped me with that aspect. The ability of going on internship was another great opportunity. So we really try to push students in their third year to consider a 12 to 16-month internship. And for myself, I actually ended up in San Francisco for 12 months working in a biotech company. So that was a really, really good experience. But what I would say is the number one reason why I chose Schulich was the camaraderie, and that's something I still look back at. You are with such a great group of students and fellow peers that really try to push you to be the best version of yourself, to make you a better engineer, and that is something I have always been very appreciative about and still continue to love. Even in the BME community and the graduate program that I'm in, it is still a very tight-knit community here at Schulich.
Thank you, Tiffany. And I can say I was on a student defense on Monday, for the biomedical engineering program, and the thesis was on how to help cure Parkinson's disease without putting electrodes in someone's brain. And I thought that was great. We don't need to put anything in someone's brain and cure Parkinson's. So yeah, this is great. And so Farnaz, I know you you had a little bit different of a way of getting into engineering. So if you don't mind, quickly say that, and then maybe we'll go to some of the questions coming from the audience. And if there's not enough questions, then we come back to the questions that we have.
All right, thank you so much. So yeah, my journey to engineering is slightly different. I come from a slightly unorthodox background. My first degree is in architectural engineering, which is something between architecture and civil engineering. And when I finished that, so I'm originally from Iran. That's where I did my degree. And then I went to Montreal to do construction management in civil engineering. And after that, I became a professor in Toronto. And then and then I was approached from University of Calgary. I looked into it and I really loved coming here. The reason I love being here in Calgary is how well we're connected with the industry. So the engineering, well, they call Calgary the capital of engineering of Canada, which I don't think I think it's very appropriate. The engineering community I find very tight. I've lived in 3 different continents of the world. I've lived in different provinces in Canada, different cities around the world, and I have not seen such a tight and well-connected engineering community. It's such a pleasure being part of this. You just pick up the phone, everybody wants to help you. And I love that camaraderie that we have here in Calgary and at Schulich School of Engineering. So I'm gonna leave it at that, Lale. So we can...
Thank you. Yeah, so we had this question from Kashish. Do you want us to ask the question yourself or should I go ask it? I'll ask it. What can we as students do at school and in our community to encourage and get more women involved in engineering? And I know it's not an easy answer, but there's a lot of things we can do. I can start with one. The first thing is, one of the things is we have developed a lot of programs for the students that they can get involved with. So one of them is Schulich Ignite, where we have our undergraduate students mentor high school students to learn programming and hopefully get them excited about careers in software. And then the other one is the Bioengineering Summer Institute, where we teach why do we learn physics, and why physics is fun and why engineering is fun, because we use physics to make a luge go really fast without getting off track, or how the biking and cycling can happen and so on, and many other things. And so those are some of the things you can have your friends try and see if they like engineering. And I'll give that to others in the panel. And if you have any other questions, please put it in the chat.
I can kind of jump into in terms of opportunities. As a part of WISE, one of our outreach programs that we really focus on and trying to expand is outreach to high school students. Understanding that as university students, I think high school students are the most direct audience when it comes to considering coming to Schulich or going into engineering or not. So a lot of the times we do run like lunch and learn programs with different high schools where we bring cool speakers, people that maybe have done a cool summer research project or is currently working on something like that, and just pop by to a high school during their lunchtime, but now will be like more like pop by virtually, tuning in virtually, where we talk about those events. Last year we had a few things where we connected with different profs from the university to do high school capsule lecture style events with high school students, just to give them like a little look into what they might be looking at in terms of their first year engineering classes, like Eng 201, intro to like fluids or maybe like even statics. So those are some of the things that clubs do. And I know that just beyond WISE, a lot of other student clubs and organizations do a lot of high school outreaches too. And there are some technical teams and clubs like our solar car team and Schulich racing or tobogganing. There's a lot of cool clubs that really focus on that outreach aspect. And in terms of encouraging your friends to attend those programs, that could be a great one, and to just explore engineering as an option. And potentially even like as a high school student, we always like as university club members, we always like to connect with high school students directly to see what you guys are looking for and what events you guys might be interested in. So getting involved that way can also be a way to help encourage engagement in female engineering.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I think that was pretty well covered. I just sort of say that if like we're assuming sort of Kishish that your position is from high school right now. So kind of like Helen said at the end, she described all the great ways you get to do all that work if you come to Schulich. But right now in your school and your community or any clubs that you're part of, you can advocate and say, hey, why aren't we inviting these type of speakers? Or can we look for, more hands-on residencies in our classrooms? And what about even the grades earlier than us? Because the earlier that it's exposed, there's exposure and interest sought, the longer that sort of flame can be lit in someone. So you can advocate for getting those kind of activities and making those connections for the schools and clubs you're part of, and then advertise them in a way that's very inclusive and doesn't kind of play into tropes of old school engineers too. Like it's such a different world now when you picture and you just go out and see the type of engineering going on and the goals of a lot of engineers and what engineers all look like. So just make sure that in any posters you make, you're representing that diversity.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, I'll go. I don't know if there's any other questions. Ali, if there is something I missed, please let me know. But while we have, I'll ask another question. Tell us something about engineering or Schulich School of Engineering that surprised you. And I don't know if someone wants to answer first, or Helen or Tiffany, do you want to go in? Or
I'll go first on this one. So I would say one of the biggest things that surprised me when I was doing my undergrad in engineering was this idea of interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary research. So when you think of engineering, especially when I was doing my undergrad, I was really stuck in the idea that if you're a civil engineer, you're only going to do civil engineering. Or if you're a chemical engineer, you're only going to do chemical engineering, or software and electrical, you're just going to do software and electrical. But really, as you progress through your degree, what you realize is even though you're specialized in an area, like be it electrical, software, civil, mechanical, chemical, biomedical engineering, there's a lot of like collaboration that goes on in the Schulich School of Engineering, and a lot of research and different activities that require different areas of engineering to work together. One of my favorite examples is our solar car team. So we actually have a group of students that develop and build like a full-length car that is powered through solar power. And there are students in mechanical engineering, electrical, and software engineering, all working together on different aspects of the car to make it functional. And that really surprised me, because when you think of vehicles, the first people that come to my head is the mechanical engineers. But there's so many aspects to developing a vehicle that require attention from different types of engineering. The same again, we'll use the example of biomedical engineering because that's what I know best. There are so many applications of different engineering groups coming and working together to try to create the best solution. And that is something that I love about engineering, really, is that ability to do like interdisciplinary research, the ability to reach out to all these different groups that have different expertise in all these different areas to develop the best solution possible. And you'll see it at like the research level, you'll see it in your classrooms, but you'll also see it at the student levels with a lot of our student clubs. You'll see, and you'll meet students from all these different departments that you would have never thought of meeting that can teach you something. So there's a lot of learning that you can also do outside the classroom. Helen, I'll pass the torch on to you.
I think Tiffany kind of had a similar answer, so that was great. I also like the interdisciplinary aspect of it also was really surprising to me. And I think the biggest thing is just the sheer amount of opportunities there is to apply your learning outside of your classroom. So I think a lot of the times we just, associate, get your degree, you're doing, go through your classes, that's how you're learning engineering. But like we mentioned already, there are a lot of technical teams and research opportunities that allow you as an undergraduate student who, when I first looked into summer research as like a first, second year student, I'm like, what I don't know anything. Like, how am I supposed to help in this area of research when like I don't know anything about it at that point yet, right? But the opportunities that we have to explore those that learning outside of the classroom was really surprising to me. And I think and having done a few of those, like working in a more interdisciplinary environment, like Tiffany said, one of the current ones it's kind of a summer research project, but extending it to now is for the International Genetics Machine Engineering competition. And I think Tiffany was also in that like a long time ago too. So that for that opportunity, I get to work with a lot of students in biological sciences or biomed, and also a group of like engineers too with software. We have software engineering, electrical, and a bioinformatics on a dry lab team where we try to use synthetic biology to to develop a solution to a real world problem. And this year project is for targeting like recycling rare earths out of e-waste. So just seeing how much you can do as an undergraduate student surprises me. I think when you think about all of these cool researchers, you always associate them with like, grad students, like PhD students, professors, but as an undergraduate student who doesn't know a lot yet, there is still a lot of opportunity for you to explore that and really see what you can do. And I think that's one of my favorite things about being in Schulich as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. And there's a question about, are there any collaborations with other universities? And absolutely yes. I myself, I'm collaborating with universities in Brazil, University of Alberta, University of Waterloo, just to name a few at top of my head. And I know that we have students who go for exchanges, undergrad students who go for exchanges or visiting scholars, and so on. And I don't know about colleges, but maybe Alison or Lorraine can sort of talk about those. But yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities in that case. Now I want to just sort of, if there's no other questions, we only have 3 minutes. So maybe we'll start with Farnaz and Jen, and either give us an advice for the young women who are interested in pursuing engineering, or if you don't want to give advice, just talk about your fondest memory or proudest moment.
Yeah, thank you, Lale. Well, I mean, I first and foremost hope that you do come to engineering. And once you are here, I want you to trust your instinct. I want to hear and see your perspective. We are all neurologically different. Men, women, non-binary people, we all think different, and we want that, we value that. And we want to see what you bring to table. And that's very much appreciated, especially where we are now. So don't hesitate to bring that perspective to table. Please share it. And I'll leave it at that, Lale.
Hey, and Jen?
Yeah, okay, that's awesome because she gave advice on once you're there. So I'll focus my advice on deciding to go there. And what I would say is that you don't have to feel like you're 100% certain that you know exactly what you want to do forever and you have your calling worked out and your career path is totally mapped, and that's so you know you're making the right choice. There's a Sheryl Sandberg saying that's become pretty common now, and it was coined especially for women, and it's that you should view your career as a jungle gym and not a ladder. And I think that engineering is really a discipline and a degree that prepares you for the jungle gym scenario that has become more common and can be really rewarding too. So if you're a lifelong learner and you want to try lots of different roles or even different industries throughout your career, an engineering degree is really a key that unlocks a lot of doors. It's respected if that's sort of what you have on your CV, and then you show that you're gritty and able and have some experience. Pretty much any opportunity feels like it's open to you to give it a shot because you've learned how to think and how to approach things. So that would be, you know, I think I joked once with someone when I was working on strategy for Schulich's communications once. I said, like, I don't understand why all these people take general degrees when they don't know what they want yet. Like, take engineering, because it doesn't, you don't have to know what you want for shit either. You're just creating so many more opportunities. And then just quickly, once you're here, I would say to the women that seek out other women as companions and champions, not exclusively, but that sort of kindred experience, and across different cultures and different backgrounds, you'll find how much as women that you are having a lot of the same experiences, and it's very, very meaningful. And there's, you know, at least 27% now, which is great, but it's going to get even better. Find that kinship.
Thank you, Jen. And really quickly, Tiffany, very quickly, do you have any proudest moment advice?
Oh, I guess very quickly is, I would say my fondest memories, honestly, the friends I've made through my time at Schulich. I'm still very much good friends with the people that I started my degree with. We honestly, I remember sitting in the homeroom late at night working on assignments together, and those are the moments to remember. Not the quizzes, not the tests, not the assignments, but the opportunities and time you spent with the peers and the friends you made along the way. So if I could give any advice for a student going into Schulich, is be bold, say hi to the people in your classes and make friends, because you never know who these people will be 5 years in your life and what role they'll play. And I can say honestly, the most mysterious people in my life, the ones that I didn't foresee, are now some of my closest friends in engineering, and I still consider them the best of my friends.
I agree with that. And Helen, we're gonna quickly go to you as the last word.
I guess I can't really say my fondest memories yet, since I'm still finishing up my degree, but I would really recommend you guys looking into Schulich School of Engineering and looking into engineering in general as a degree, and especially being like in the a little bit like later years of my undergraduate now, I'm really seeing how the things I've learned in my first, second, and some of my third year is able to apply to actually solving problems, and also how just the career opportunities that are out there, and how just how many there are for someone in engineering, and how broad I can really take my degree. I can explore like biomedical field, or I can explore, you know, food industry, manufacturing, oil and gas. It's just great to think that I'm in a position where I have this. I'm lucky enough to explore all these different opportunities, and in general, like I think the community at Schulich has really been a great one, a really welcoming one. All of the professors I've met, all of the students I've worked with, all my peers, everyone has been really great. So I think Schulich is a really great choice, and we have a really, really good engineering program here. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Helen. And I can say just sort of very quickly that my proudest moment is when I work with my colleagues and how much they care about the students. So we have worked really hard, for example, in my courses to take out all of the exams, because we knew during COVID the stress was too much. And we found new ways of assessment. So it's much better for the students. But with that, Ali, I'm back to you. Sorry, we went a little bit longer.
No problem. I just want to give a big thank you to all of our panelists and our moderator. It was so great to listen to your awesome conversations, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share some of your advice and your stories. And I don't know if everyone wants to do like a reaction button to thank our panelists. I just want to thank everyone else for joining us at our Engineering for Humanity Women in Engineering Night. I will be sending a follow-up email with a copy of the slides. So if you do have any questions that you think of after today, you can reach me there. Or again, you can reach us at discoverengineering@ucalgary.ca. We are doing some in-person tours again. So if you would like to reach out about checking out our very cool Maker Multiplex, I would love to show you around. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Helen.
Yeah.